Hi there. Hi there. This is Bubba After Dark. So many of you have sent such nice cards to me about my 70th birthday. I'm so glad you could make it. I just need to welcome you, and I'm so glad you could come to my place after dark so we could have a little bit of entertainment. But you know, people keep calling me and they keep telling me, Bubba, what is this thing with a visual interface? What is this, Bubba? Well, visual interface goes something like what we got right here on the computer. If you notice, it's got itself a visual interface, and what they call there is where they get pictures and put the pictures on the screen. So you've heard a lot about this visual interface, or you've heard people saying, I don't like a visual interface. I like just typing the stuff in. Well, you know, you've heard of an Apple, and you've heard of a Windows, and you've heard of Xerox, and you've heard of a lot of these companies, and Sun, who all make visual interfaces. Well, they say, Bubba, who made the visual interface? And I say, well, sit down here, spell, son. Prop yourself up, and I'll tell you a little story. Well, don't want to show too much. That's the way I used to be. Okay, so come about 1970 in a place called Palos Altos, there was a bunch of these here newfangled engineers from Xerox that came up with a system, and it had pictures instead of just typing at the computer. And these pictures went into a machine called a Xerox 860 word processor. One heck of a fine word processor. All the attorneys and all the doctors, all the people with lots of moolah dinero went out and bought one. Well, that had a graphical interface. As a matter of fact, it looked almost the same as this. It had little icons, and you clicked on those, and you made your picture big, and you made your picture small. And it was one fine little thing. So then here comes this other upstart company called Apple. And they needed some sort of interface so that they could have pictures, and they made something called a Macintosh, and they decided to make that Macintosh have the same one, so they went over to Xerox and said, you know what, let me use that one. And so they used that one. Well, then along comes a company called Microsoft, and they wanted to have a visual interface, so they went and took the one from the Macintosh, and the Macintosh took it from the Xerox people at Palos Altos. And the next thing you know, they're all fighting about it, and Apple is suing Microsoft because they're saying, you're not supposed to have this, but Microsoft snuck in the back door in 1987 and got an agreement from Apple that would allow them to use this for all of them, and their attorneys forgot to make it only for version 1.0, so now they got to use it for everything forever, and Macintosh is suing them. But the judge said, well, Macintosh folks, you guys took it from Xerox, so what are you talking about? So all this visual interface didn't come from Microsoft, and it didn't come from anybody actually, because back in the old days, back when I was a young man in the caves, that's how we left messages. We used to draw these here visual interfaces on the caves. And it would tell us, like when I went out there and I killed the bear and jumped on his back, well, there was a picture of me on the cave wall with me poking him in the back. So I don't think there's anything really new about any of this visual interface stuff. I think this visual interface stuff goes way, way back. And I don't think anybody's got a right to say it's theirs. After all, didn't God make all these pictures?